furniture. They got a barbecue guy going in the backyard. And guess what? Nobody sat in our parkland. It was a total flop. The streets aren't that pleasant, and they just got their barbecue and left. And we were kind of bummed. And then they called me and they said, Ryan, we have an idea. And I said, what? And they said, we think we should turn the parklet into a night marklet. I went, okay, tell me more. And so all they essentially did was then take the barbecue guy and put him in the parklet and push people into their backyard. And this changed everything. We got 100 people hanging out there every weekend. It ended up turning into a full street festival, and it really scaled up in an appropriate way. So that being able to fail, being able to test something, being able to acknowledge it didn't work, that's really, really hard when you invest a lot of money in something and you trying to force something that just isn't good. So this is a really good little placemaking lesson. Let's see, I know I'm running short on time, so I'm gonna, okay, so the kind of big lesson here that I hope to convey is that you really need a layered cake approach to placemaking. As you guys are setting up these programs, where the government can only do so much and should only do so much if you really want to have creative, site-specific, and community-powered placemaking. Then you need these intermediary nonprofits, institution funders, and capacity builders. Community creativity shouldn't all be used in how to understand city systems. There's those of us who can be the holders of that knowledge and who can give that power to our community. And so that's when you really get the really creative stuff, is when the most people can contribute to their community because they don't have to worry about this very complicated interface, and especially all the very complicated stuff that has to go on down here to keep us safe and deal with all the things that needs to happen. Let's see, skip this. Okay, actually I love this story. Okay, so let me give you the deepest, darkest secret of placemaking. Placemaking isn't about place. It's about people. And this is the story of Phil's farm stand. So Phil was this super volunteer. He was volunteering at our gardens, and someone took me aside and said, Phil has dementia, and his wife doesn't know how much longer he can come because he's been wandering off, and he can't get home. And we were so bummed because Phil was like a great guy. And so we said, okay, let's build a farm stand with and in honor of Phil. And so we started building this farm stand all as a community around Phil. And Phil became like a celebrity because like everybody was like building Phil's farm stand and we're Phil, hey Phil, and this and that. Well, because then all of a sudden this guy's like everyone's grandfather, he suddenly got a ride train going. And he was able to continue to participate for another year or two with our community because everyone kind of wanted to take care of him. So it's really, really, really about people and our relationships. The place is all an artifact. It's the leave behind. It's what us busy bees do together. And so I want to point out this, because this has come up a little bit with folks, is about the innovation and adoption cycle. So guess what? Not all of us like new ideas. It's really that there's a small group of people called innovators. Maybe these are our creatives, our entrepreneurs, our stewards. They love to uptake new ideas. They're looking for these things, and they want to implement them and make them more palatable for the rest of the community. So why, when we do community outreach, do we go talk to everybody at once? Do you wonder why 80% of the surveys coming back are from people who don't want anything to change? Well, it's because that's where they're at in this spectrum. You really need to be talking to the people who want to implement, who want to improve, and then they will find ways to make it more tasty to the rest of the people. And I was very inspired by a man named Malenko, I can't say his last name, Matanovic. He's out of Seattle, and he ran a community engagement organization for like 30 years there called the Pomegranate Center. And he actually grew up in Czechoslovakia, or behind the Iron Curtain. And when he came here and did community engagement, he was like, I don't think you guys understand democracy. Because it doesn't matter if the fascist is in the front of the room or in the back. if somebody's dominating and shutting down the conversation, not giving everybody a chance to speak and weigh in and share their truths, that's fascism. That's not democracy. And as a public administrator, I was always like, oh, well, we have to leave these open forums and, but really he pointed out that there's a nuance to that if we're not hearing all of our voices, we are being dominated by a small totalitarian, sometimes orange man. And so beyond these public meetings and things like that a certain group of people feel more comfortable in, we have to find more ways to engage community and talk to them. I really like this example that I stumbled upon in Italy. So this is literally where the toe of the boot is kicking Sicily. And as you zoom right in, it's actually really close. And there's been this long-standing, unpopular idea to build the world's longest suspension bridge between Messina and Reggio Calabria. Now you think the people in Cumberland and the people in Courtenay feel different about each other? How do you think these people feel? It's like 1,000 years of side-eye. And so they don't want this bridge to be built over, A, ruin their beautiful landscape, but B, it will destroy their culture, their unique identities. And so a group of artists and activists and politicians and all the rest, they take over this sort of castle and they do a biennale. So every other year they do a giant art show. They talk about ideas. It's not just explicitly about the bridge, but about the metaphor of the bridge and the ideas of connection and disconnection. And they really go quite wide. There's puppet shows, there's art, there's all kinds of stuff happening. And there's architectural ideas. So it really gets people talking and engaging and using several different languages to talk about a concept that otherwise is very polarizing, confrontational. I'm sorry, that's the world that we live in now, so it's something we have to deal with and diffuse. And this kind of topic I've seen also dealt with, for example, is homelessness. So homelessness is a very galvanizing topic that there's seems to be few answers from and many opinions on. And this is an artist in my town where he would just become friends with the homeless people, and he'd paint portraits of them and really humanize them and make them a part of our community. And guess what? They were all had very interesting stories. And when he sold the artwork for them, he put the money in a love account, and they would get to work on their dreams. And so it wasn't all about getting them help or recovery or services, but it was actually they had time to be human beings, to explore their art, to publish books, to put out albums. I mean, it was really quite a game changer for, I think, how they saw themselves and how people saw them as well. And I love this example because it came up earlier at Urban Matters, which is, the idea of a walk audit, right? So okay, who's gonna come to a walk audit? Some urbanist and you, you and me. But when you make it a taco audit, and you tell people we're gonna go taste the best tacos in your town, and you map those out, you get quite a diverse group of people coming, and you still make it a walk audit. You give them an orange vest and tell them to do all the walk audit work. But the people that come to this are not the same people, and you're getting that really, really diverse audience of young Latino men and an Asian dad with his little baby daughter who would not have time to go to a walk audit. So it's just how we frame these things and talk about these things. This is another event we did called Pizza with a Planner. So it wasn't like, hey, that really controversial bridge on 6th Street, let's all come and have a fist fight. It was just an open forum to look at maps and talk about things and eat pizza. And so it really diffuses conversation, creates a warmer sort of a way to tackle these things. Now what about, we're talking about really cute things, but what about when it's things like development, those really, really hairy topics. And so this is a kind of fun story where this was a